So now we're going to create a component for our status bar and our home button, or if you would prefer, I've got the Android assets. That's called a status bar. This is called the action bar. Android also has a bar system like this. It's a little bit more open-ended in terms of that and what apps use, but you're welcome to choose which one you would like. Okay, so here are the assets. I'm going to start with a frame, components, objects. Usually you want to start with a frame. I'm going to use this as my reference. I'm going to make this about 48 tall. This is something that you can edit. The whole point of creating a component is so you've got the central point for editing these things. So if they're not perfect, you can always kind of planning for our future selves to be able to edit this. So I'm just dragging and copying this here, holding down the Alt or the Option key to do that for my assets. If you just want to drag them over, just grab them all and drag them over. I'm going to call this status. You always want to name these things. Super important. Alright, so now we're going to convert this frame to a component. A component is essentially a frame, but it creates a reusable asset that we can use throughout, and it gives us a central editing point so that we don't have to copy and paste should we make a change, etc. Okay, so up at the top there's this little icon that says create component. It also gives you the shortcut. The shortcut there says it's Alt or Option Command K or Control on the PC. So I'm going to go ahead and just click that, and so the icon changed. We'll zoom in there using my Command 2, and it says status, and I've got a new cute little icon. It also shows up in my assets here under status. So components can then be dragged and dropped here, and then centrally, so now we can put them on other frames. Hopefully you can see the advantage of that. And if we change one, it changes them all. So that is of humongoid benefit. Alright, we've created our first component, so let's zoom in. Alright, now we've probably run into this problem, so I'll show you the fix, where we drag things and it wants to scale them or orient them in a way we're not comfortable with. So let's undo that. I'll show you the fix for that. So if we click in, now we're inside the component. You see this constraints are often set to this scale. So constraints, you're basically telling Figma, how you want these objects treated. So I'm going to try to at least select all these objects. Yeah, and then change those. Right now we'll just change them to left and top. That's the default. Well, at least that one. For these, I'm going to grab these. Whoops. I'm going to group them, Command G, and then what I'm going to tell Figma is say, hey, no matter how wide this is, I want it to be this far from the right. So if I change the constraints through this group to right and top, and then I go over here and this is left and top, now if I move this, it should lock to the right side. So hopefully you can see the advantage of that. So whenever you use objects, sometimes you'll see that you want to change their constraints. Now the beautiful thing about components are, as I demonstrated, you don't want to drag these. You don't want these to be intermingled with other assets or screens. You want these independent. You want to have a central point where you can go back. So to apply this, we go to our assets panel and we drag to our screen. So we use that, but if you're working with a smaller screen, now you can make this smaller. If you're working with a larger screen, you make it larger. and it is perfect, which is great.